So I'm really excited about today's call. The theme, if you didn't already know, is engaging communities on evacuation preparedness. So first, we're going to hear from Jada, who's working on the Ready, Set, Go program within the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Um, Jada's going to share a little more in depth about the Ready, Set, Go program, and then also walk us through some of their resources and tools that are available that you might not already be aware of. And then after hearing from Jada, we are going to hear from Rob Farino and his team who at La Plata County. Um, and they recently conducted some community scale evacuation drills. So they're going to fill us in a little bit about that and any lessons learned that could be useful for any of you guys if you're thinking about pulling something like this off in your region or learning about their findings, anything that's applicable to your work. And after we hear from the team at La Plata County, we're going to hear from Hadley Labados with the Routt County Wildfire Mitigation Council on the creative ways that they're incorporating evacuation preparedness in their community meetings. And with that, I will hand it off to Jada to get us started.
Thanks, Sophie. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Looks perfect to me.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Jada. I'm a program specialist with the IFC's Wildfire Programs Division. We're here today to talk a little bit about the Ready, Set, Go program. I'm here with my colleague, Ellen. She should be somewhere in there.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I'll let Ellen introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen Lemieux, and I'm a senior program manager at the IFC. I work with Jada on the Ready, Set, Go program, and I also work on IFC's other programs with regards to recruitment and retention of volunteer and combination fire departments. With that, so we're going to share a little bit more about our Ready, Set, Go program with you today. So, Ready, Set, Go, or as we like to call it, RSG, is a national wildfire preparedness program developed by the International Association of Fire Chiefs to help fire departments strengthen community preparedness for wildfire occurrence. The program recognizes a simple reality. Communities that are educated, prepared, and engaged before an incident occurs are more resilient when wildfire threatens. RSG provides fire departments and community organizations with tools and resources needed to deliver that message effectively. Through customized education materials, outreach resources, and preparedness messaging, RSG helps departments and community organizations promote mitigation activities such as defensible space, home hardening, while also encouraging evacuation readiness and early action during wildfire events. The RSG also reinforces the fire service role as a trusted resource of information within the community. By building relationships and sharing consistent preparedness messaging, departments can help residents make informed decisions that improve safety and reduce risk. One of the greatest strengths of this program is its flexibility. RSG is locally driven and adaptable to the needs of individual communities and available at no cost for departments and community organizations. So now that we've introduced the program, let's take a look at the framework that makes the program effective. One of the other strengths of the RSG program is its simplicity. The framework provides a clear progression of actions for fire departments, community organizations, and residents. Ready, set, and go. Each phase serves a distinct purpose, but together they create a comprehensive approach to wildfire preparedness. The Ready phase focuses on year-round community education and action. This is where departments encourage mitigation activities, such as creating dispensable space, reducing hazardous fuels around the home, and helping residents understand their specific wildfire risks in their community. The goal is to build awareness, preparedness, well before wildfire season starts or an emergency actually occurs. The set phase is about readiness and planning, preparation. At this stage, the framework encourages residents to stay informed, sign up for alerts, monitor changing conditions, and have a plan in place. So have an action plan of what you're going to do if a wildfire threat is actually in your area. This emphasis is on, again, preparation and a situation awareness so that people are ready to act if something happens. The go phase is emphasized on early evacuation when the threat is actually in the area. This is where clear, consistent life safety messaging becomes critical. The framework encouraged residents to leave early when, when directed and avoid waiting until conditions become dangerous or evacuation routes become compromised. What's important to understand is the RSG is not solely an evacuation program. In fact, a majority of the framework focuses on what happens before an evacuation is needed. The strongest outcomes occur when communities invest in the ready and the set phase. So educating residents, reducing risk, and preparing for action long before the wildfire occurs. At the core, the framework encourages proactive preparedness, informed decision-making, and early action, all with the goal of improving safety and resilience. So what does RSG look like in practice? So the biggest takeaway is that the program isn't meant by it's not supposed to be a standalone. It's supposed to be incorporated into your community's activities that you already have in existence. So it's just an addition. So it's something you can add on. So for some implementations look like hosting a defensible space workshop or a neighborhood cleanup event. For others, it may be a town hall meetings or preparedness presentations, a school-based program, or an integrating into wildfire messaging into a broader community risk reduction efforts. So there's no single way of implementing this program. It's again flexible and adaptable for the community for your community and what your needs are and where you're at in wildfire preparedness.
Okay, so thinking about Ready, Set, Go resources, one of the biggest draws to the program is the educational resources we provide to fire departments, partners, and community groups. These aren't just informational handouts, they're really turnkey resources that organizations can use immediately and adapt for their own outreach efforts. One thing we try to emphasize is that preparedness is not one size fits all. Every community is different, which means every community's RSG implementation should look a little different as well. So, for example, our National Action Guide includes customizable sections that allow communities to incorporate their local wildland-urban interface risks, as well as their own logos and contact information. And we've noticed that those small adjustments help create a sense of ownership and make the information more relevant and actionable for residents. While not every resource is customizable, they're all designed with a purpose in mind, and that is to spark discussion, deepen preparedness knowledge, and help communities think about how to adapt the Ready, Set, Go framework to fit their unique audience and local needs. So, for example, if you're working with a farming community, the Farmers and Ranchers resource may inspire conversations about livestock evacuation or equipment relocation, and other questions that wouldn't apply to every resident. So a farmer's ready plan is naturally going to look very different from other people in the community. The same idea applies to campground visitors, seasonal residents, youth groups, and other audiences within your communities. And everyone engages with wildfire preparedness differently, which is why we've developed these resources that help departments reach people where they are. Again, ultimately, the goal is to make implementation easier. So rather than creating materials from scratch, departments can leverage these existing resources and tools, customize them where appropriate, and build preparedness messaging that reflects their unique community's needs. Getting started with Ready, Set, Go is intentionally very, very simple. Departments can enroll directly through our website, which provides access to the program resources and materials we've discussed today. From there, it's really about identifying what works best for your community, selecting those resources that align with local risk, incorporating RSG messaging into existing outreach efforts, and implementing the program at a scale that fits a department's capacity. On this slide, we wrap up with a little video that shows just how easy it is to access and order RSG resources. We've intentionally designed the process to be simple so departments can quickly find the materials that best fit their community and start putting them to use as soon as possible. And if there's one thing that I hope you take away from today's brief presentation is that Ready, Set, Go is really a flexible framework and not a one-size-fits-all program. So whether you're a department with dedicated wildfire staff or a curious HOA member who simply wants to learn more about wildfire preparedness, this program can provide tools and resources to communities to take action before wildfire occurs. I really appreciate everyone's time today. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. I see there's two little questions in the chat, so I will ask those for Lisa. The first one is this program only for fire departments, or can communities or metro districts or other organizations participate in Ready, Set, Go? Or
Any community organization, fire department or otherwise is able to participate in the program. So it's really accessible for a wide range of groups.
Awesome, thanks. And the second question was, is the achievement management system for fire departments?
The achievement management system is primarily utilized for fire departments, but people who are doing community outreach, say, for example, an HOA or a nonprofit or a Firewise site, they are also able to log in and use our achievement management system to log the work they're doing. So while the primary users are fire departments, other organizations are able to use that system as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask. I also want to say thank you guys for presenting. I think that was a great overview of your resources and how people can kind of use them, and like what do we say? Plagiarize and localize. Basically copy paste and add your logo or any other local information. I think that's great.
I was gonna just tag on one thing that I super appreciate because I'm sure this resonates with several of the groups, and I really like the way that you called out the timing and kind of the constant ready state, and a lot of the work is really in those the ready and even set phase to a degree before there's smoke in the air or a need for evacuations. And I think we've all seen the communities that aren't really sure what to do, and there's evacuation warnings, and it's a ready, set, and go areas. And that was definitely one of the reasons why we really wanted to bring you in. This time of year as we're moving into when a lot of folks are doing evacuations, that's not really the appropriate way to use Ready, Set, Go. Um, so appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Sweet.
There's
Um,
a comment too about the colors being flipped. Um, and I wonder if you have anything to say about that with the incident management teams using it and flipping the colors. I think they also might be using it in the manner that I was just talking about, which isn't really the correct manner, but
Yeah, we have seen people, with the benefit of flexibility also comes things like this where people do, change colors or use things to fit their understanding. Um, we have seen that some different jurisdictions are flipping the colors, but we still recommend to use obviously what our program defines as the Ready, Set, and Go stage. I see another comment in here about does it matter if my local fire department aren't already using Ready, Set, Go? Yeah, assuming I can still use with my Firewise, 100%. We kind of think of Ready, Set, Go as an intro or an easily accessible intro into Firewise because it's a little less strict and you can kind of take what you need and leave what you don't. So you can definitely use it alongside Firewise.
Hey, Jada, I can jump in and kind of add on a little bit to that question about the color coding. So, yeah, that is a challenge that we see. Hi, everybody. My name is Craig Darty. I'm one of the SMEs that works with Jada on the program and some of the implementation stuff that goes on with Ready, Set, Go. I'm also a member of incident management team for the last 25 years. So normally when a team comes into an area, we adopt the language that's used locally. We don't bring our own language, so we always adopt what's being used locally. And a lot of people are going to Ready, Set, Go for evacuation language. And unfortunately, it does sometimes conflict with the Ready, Set, Go program that IFC has, where our Ready is focusing on the Ready side as the Firewise thinking, defensible space thinking. Set is obviously knowing what those evacuation parameters are, how to get out of your community, how to sign up for those notifications, and then obviously Go is get out. And we have some checklists for people to use. Yeah, and so Ready, Set, and Go. When we look at that from a colors perspective, green is go on a stoplight, but in a lot of areas, when you use green for evacuation colors, then the color green is sometimes used as not a threat. Yellow being getting ready, and red as danger, get out. So there are some conversations amongst us on the Ready, Set, Go side is to get away from the color system and start using maybe something different besides colors, since that conflicts sometimes with evacuation coloring. So I think the real key is using the language though, Ready, Set, and Go when people are talking evacuations, and trying to avoid the color schemes. Although I know we have some emergency managers on here, they may have a different take on that. So it is good to see that language though, as from an incident management team perspective, being used across the country, because when we travel all over the country, people are using different thought processes. There's level one, level two, level three. Sometimes that's opposite. So you see all kinds of different languages. It'd be nice if we get to a point as a nation where we used one common evacuation theme for language across the country. But I just thought I'd tag on to that as a little bit of extra dialogue.
Thanks, Craig.
yeah, thanks. That was some great context of how you guys intend the Ready, Set, Go program to be used and what it means, and maybe how some other people are using it, um, or using similar terms in different ways. And with that, I'll transition us over to our next speaker. So I want to welcome the team at La Plata County. It looks like we have Rob and Matthew and maybe another person. So I'll let you guys introduce yourself. And just tell us a little bit about the evacuation drill that you had recently in your community.
Okay, thank you, Sophie, and thanks everybody for the invite. Yeah, Rob Farino, Emergency Management Director here for Plata County. I've got Matthew Richardson, our Emergency Management Coordinator, and then Ben Robinson, who does our wildfire mitigation coordination. So we have embraced Ready, Set, Go. We've been using it for our evacuation system for a couple of years now, and we're actually leaning into it pretty heavy. I'll share screen here. So we created Ready Freddy here, this stuff. Oh, that's the full screen. What's that?
The Chrome window is like only half screen.
Okay. There you go. Okay. So are you seeing our mascot there? We made Ready Freddy here as a offshoot of the program here, and he's helping us communicate our Ready, Set, Go, as well as always be ready and the mitigation component of that, and what fire restrictions mean, stage 1 versus stage 2, what ladder fuels are, and things like that. So we've got some videos and stuff that we're filming. When we go out and talk to people, we want them to always be ready. And when we send out an evacuation alert, we'll send a link to our Ready La Plata webpage. You can see a clickable link here in this phone alert that goes out with our evacuation notices. And that brings people to our Ready La Plata page. So they would have the fire adapted fire here, or the 214 fire. So they would click on the incident and very quickly, easily see that they are either in the red or the yellow, or the green or the yellow zone. And that's very clearly here on their device. That green is go and yellow is get set. And so as they zoom in on their mobile device, they can see that they're starting to get clarity. Oh, yep, that's my house. I'm in the go zone, or I'm in the yellow. I have a few more minutes to go. So this is our Ready La Plata website. It would also have information on where to go to check in, get directions for that if they need to, etc. So that we use Regroup to make our zones. We would just draw our zone, send it, and they would get that. And then lastly, so Fire Ready again, we're using for our annual exercise, and we do an expo at the end of this week. You can see this is a week-long series of small fire drills, basically. And then at the end on the Saturday is the Fire Ready Expo. And that's at the fairgrounds where people can come and get all kinds of information, talk to fire mitigation contractors, visit their local fire district representatives, and meet Smokey and Sparky and Freddie and stuff like that. So what we did for this exercise is the 4th through the 8th, we had several fires where we would send out evacuations, and people, sorry, I'm going to stop share here. Stop share. So people would get they would know ahead of time that their community or their subdivision is involved. And so we would send out a test only and send them the actual alert. They would get the clickable link. They would be able to click on that, find a check-in location, and we would be there to greet them. We would issue salamander rapid tags. If your community isn't using the salamander system, they have real quick tags with a QR code they issue if you prove that you've been evacuated and you're in that area. That's what the deputies use when evacuations are partially lifted and people can get back in to check on their home, or maybe go back in for some medications or what have you. So when people could practice their evacuation drill, we can talk about go kits. They can get their rapid tag at the check-in, and they could also get those at the expo on that Saturday. So yeah, ready, set, go. We're all in. We're committed, and I know there's the red versus the green dilemma and stuff, but we've found that with the preloading, our public outreach and education about red is ready. If you live in La Plata County, you live in the forest, you need to be ready. You need to do your mitigation, get those pine needles off your roof, have a two ways out, know your ways out, etc. So always be ready is one message. And then get set or go now is our two evacuation orders, if you will. So the public education component, if done, I think thoroughly up front, makes it just super clear. And that's what we're after. We want to be really good at a few things. And one of them is quickly alerting people with our alerts, and then also making it very clear on where to go. So yeah, happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thanks. I had a quick question of one, just generally how you think that week went and how you think the event went. And the other part of that was I was curious how you did the outreach to make people aware of the event and to let people know what was going to be going on.
Okay. Sure. We've been doing this for 4 years now. So we do an annual exercise. It's our we used to call it our annual April evacuation exercise, and then just recently we transitioned to calling it the Fire Ready exercise. And so we have moved it around to different subdivisions, and they end up wanting it over and over every year. They want to be a part of it. And, primarily it's a way for us to practice our craft internally. We activate our EOC. We have internal processes that we practice as far as, everybody who's on the incident management team, documenting on 214s their activities, getting the right code for the incident, for time tracking, and then just all of the logistics and behind the scenes that goes into a EOC evacuation scenario. So we thought, inviting the public to participate and practice their evacuation was a good idea, and it's kind of grown in popularity. So people embrace it. They want to get those rapid tags, and we've actually pivoted to issuing those evacuation tags preemptively. And so starting this year, everybody who gets a tag, it's good through the end of the year. And so if they're evacuated and they've already got their tag ahead of time through these exercises or farmers market or at the expo, now they don't have to, in the heat of being evacuated, go check in somewhere. It's part of their go kit and their preparedness routine. They can already check that off their list, and when we do partially lift evacuations, they'll be good to go. So it's kind of like a little token that people are very eager to get. And so people are calling, hey, where can I get a tag? I wasn't there. I want to get my evacuation tag. And so we're really kind of growing that knowledge and awareness. And then the expo, we promoted it with radio station support. We had some interviews and a lot of flyers, but I think doing it repeatedly on the same week every year, it's really grown in popularity, and people kind of come to expect it, and we're hoping it just gets bigger every year.
Sweet, thanks. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, I'm trying to get my video on. Sorry. So just to clarify, do you pick like a different subdivision or whatever each year to do, but then people keep asking you to come back? Or I guess I'm just curious how you do that, because I'm sure you're not doing all of La Plata County at one time. So
Yeah, right. And the involving the communities is pretty easy. You try to go do a presentation or a talk with their HOA meeting. just to, again, talk about your whole program and your outreach, and then just let them know that if they haven't signed up for alerts, this is how to sign up for the alerts, and you'll get your test message on this day at this time during your fire drill. It's really just a fire drill.
Right.
So
Yeah.
for us, yeah, for us in the EOC, it's not a heavy lift. We can create zones and send out test alerts to, I mean, we could do every subdivision in the county if we wanted. We won't be able to staff the check-in locations and have that volume of people, but just for the evacuation drill component of it, it's pretty easy to just to build your alert, build your zone, and send those neighborhoods messages, and then you can have them, maybe they coordinate with defensible space work party, and it's on a Saturday, and you send everybody the test message, hey, practice your evacuation, you're going to meet at the intersection here, and somebody's going to do a potluck lunch after everybody helps do in group mitigation, they kind of divide and conquer, so you could do it something like that. But we just have a running list of subdivisions who are more actively involved. One of them just dropped off a evacuation plan that they wanted us to look at and evaluate, and they wanted to get on the list for next year's evacuation exercise week. So it's pretty easy to support bigger groups, and of course we want to target the really challenging ones, right? The big subdivisions with only one or two ways out and heavy fuels, and the ones that the fire department are most concerned with. We are too. So getting them more and more aware and practicing will really help them if the time comes. And then lastly, I'll just say in the chat, I put a little link to our video. We've got a little YouTube channel. We've got two Freddie YouTube videos so far, and you could check that out if you wanted. Any other questions?
Yeah, Ross, I'll have you ask a question in just 1 second, and then I'm going to say we're approaching 2 o'clock, and we do still have Hadley going to talk to us about how Routt County Wildfire Mitigation Council has been engaging their community. So the presentations are going to go a little bit over 2 o'clock. Hopefully you guys can stay on for that. We'll get this one more question from Ross, and then we'll transition over to Hadley's presentation.
The software for making the map was called Regroup. Is that what you said?
Our alert software is called Regroup. That's where we send the notifications to people's phones. The map itself is done through Esri ArcGIS Online, and that's where our evacuation zones are hosted and shared. So we kind of have a bunch of different tools to try to make the zone creation really quick. But yeah, this was created with Experience Builder on Esri and some of those ArcGIS Online tools.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, and with that, I'll transition us to Hadley. And yeah, Hadley's going to tell us about some of their creative ways that they're engaging communities involving emergency management at their community meetings. But yeah.
Hi guys, I'll try to keep it pretty short because I know we're going over time, but I'm Hadley Lobatos. I work for the Routt County Wildfire Mitigation Council. We're a small nonprofit that was formed in 2020, and we kind of work with different communities all across the county to make fire-adapted communities. And a major part of my job is actually this outreach and education towards these communities. With both wildfire preparedness and evacuation preparedness. And as a result, we kind of work very closely with the Office of Emergency Management here. And a big change that's been happening in this county here is the Office of Emergency Management is actually moving away from Ready, Set, Go as a kind of notification framework. And we had a big fire here last year. It burned right around like 2,000 acres and got very close to the town of Yampa here in Routt County. And because of that, the Office of Emergency Management found out that a lot of people got confused with the notification system that they were using and the wording that Ready, Set, Go kind of presents. A lot of this confusion comes from translating poorly. The word set does not translate into Spanish very well, and a lot of our Latino community, which encompasses a lot of our county, was just very confused on when they should be leaving for evacuation. Um, and the colors don't really convey the right stuff. As either way that you have the colors, and all of it, the county found is just would be very confusing. So they're taking early action steps to kind of move away from that Ready, Set, Go framework and move into their new phrasing of pre-evacuation and evacuation. The pre-evacuation being in place of the set, and the evacuation being in place of the go. Um, and yeah, so that is the newest development that our county is facing right now. And it's been kind of hard on us as an organization because all we've been pushing is Ready, Set, Go. And so we're trying to find a ways to push Ready, Set, Go, to continue pushing Ready, Set, Go, but also implementing this pre-evacuation and evacuation phrasing that the county is now using as their notification system. The county is also stressing that that everyone should still be saying that Routt is always ready or always ready Routt, but just changing the wording of the set and the go. Yeah. Additionally, OEM, our Office of Emergency Management has just spent the last year remapping and redefining evacuation zones across the county to better communicate to the public, like which zone should evacuate when. And that's something that's fresh, been in place this year. With all this change in vocabulary, of course, it's very hard to reach the public and show, like, to automatically have like understanding for this new vocabulary. And so us as a council, we're going to continue using the Ready, Set, Go program, but also the pre-evacuation and evacuation phrasing along with that, and try to combine them in an overlapping, sort of as seamless as we can manner. Yeah. Additionally, we have had several smaller fires that have really shown like the different kinks that changing the system very fast has shown us. The Office of Emergency Management, of course, is trying to push these new evacuation zones that they've just released to the public. However, not everyone is aware of those yet, and so that creates a little bit of confusion when there is a sudden fire, and these evacuation zones don't exactly line up with what the Office of Emergency Management is saying, and what different organizations like Watch Duty, which is becoming a very popular app for different notifications on wildfires in the area. Office of Emergency Management has to reach out with Watch Duty constantly because of all the changes that they're going through right now, and it's just it's a process that's not going to be seamless, and it's one that is going to take time to really be implemented properly. But as for our organization, we are still pushing people to always be ready for evacuation, and that set and pre-evacuation are the same thing, just different phrasing, and that go and evacuation are the same thing, but different phrasing. And a big thing that our communities have done, we've had two two of our communities with wildfire ambassadors actually reach out to the Office of Emergency Management to have drills for their alert system. So all of Routt County is on what's called Routt County Alerts. And what these neighborhoods did is they reached out to the Office of Emergency Management and they said, we're having an HOA meeting soon. And we'd like you to, before that meeting happens, we'd like you to send out a drill of a pre-evacuation notification and evacuation notification. And we'd like to just have our community see, one, if they are signed up for Routt County alerts, and two, to see if they can be prepared in this case of an emergency or a fire that just lit up. And they have had great success with this. They've really found that in an emergency situation, like you're really stressing and you're really trying to frantically put all this stuff together that you need to leave rapidly, and that the majority of the people who were not prepared for this drill, who either forgot it was happening or did not get the memo that it was happening, they got a big wake up call, and that, oh, I'm not ready in case of a fire. And it's just great. Like it's great that those communities are coming to those conclusions and seeing that they're really understanding that this is something that I should prepare for. And yeah, we've seen great success with that.
Pete, thanks, Hadley. Yeah, I think that's really cool how, I mean, how even it wasn't even necessarily you guys going to the HOA saying, hey, you should reach out to, like, they did that on their own.
It was really cool that they just did that on their own, and they went through all this process by themselves, and they were like, yeah, we're doing this. You guys want to be a part of it? It was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was plenty of people who were not signed up for alerts and did not realize until that meeting.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, if anyone has any questions for Hadley, feel free to pop them in the chat or come off mute and ask them. And then after we have some questions, we can head into our breakout rooms for the last bit of the call.
I just kind of want to hear like reflection if we still have our RSG team on with regards to set being pre-evac, because I think I heard something a little bit different, and I think it's always a little bit confusing on the timing of that, but I think that is where folks are getting caught up.
I would
So,
also like to hear their feedback on it because it
yeah.
does not line up perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it more like the red flag day or just the kind of condition this year, the excitement people have had around the drought, and they're like, oh, what can I do? Like, okay, well, like, no, you really need to have your go bag and have
Mhm.
it in a place that you can grab it and be paying attention to alerts, right? Like, not just kind of ready and maybe I have one packed from last year, but like, is it in the car today? Because I'm not going to be home all day and I want to make sure I have my important papers if a fire starts and I can't get them out of my house or whatever. So that's kind of how I always thought about it more than there's something in the area. I'm on pre-evacuation and now I'm gonna get set. But
Well, yeah. I mean, that is the Ready Set Go framework, and that's one of the largest
mhm.
challenges we're facing with like public education is like, what do we tell when do we tell people to be set and be ready when initially, like, that's ideally something that you hear a couple days or a couple weeks ahead of a fire, rather than 30 minutes before you have to evacuate.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've heard feedback on in the past, and I think there's an opportunity to strengthen the messaging around set in particular, 100%. I was like, as you were talking, I was taking notes because I'm like, this is so valuable for us to like go back to the drawing board and kind of like reassess. But I think that you're right that set needs to be is not just exclusive to when there's quote unquote something in your area, and there is a big opportunity to broaden that messaging. So I really appreciate the feedback, and I'll be communicating that with the rest of our Ready, Set, Go team. So thank you.
And
I thought
then
I
you
don't
guys, oh, sorry.
No, you can go.
I was just going to ask within the Ready, Set, Go framework that anything, if you're in evacuation mode and issuing alerts, would fall into the go category, right?
Typically, that's how the framework is set up.
From the framework
Yeah,
standpoint, not
correct.
necessarily how local jurisdictions have used it as an evacuation alert system.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I'd also like to add that everyone in our office is not necessarily thrilled about this change away from Ready, Set, Go, and we don't necessarily think that pre-evacuation evacuation is a good replacement for that system. But we are also trying to work to see if we can try to implement all of those ideas at the same time. But it's been, I don't know, we haven't had much progress with that.
Amy, you got a question?
Thanks, Sophie. Hey, Hadley, I had a quick question for you for the fact of with the language change up, was it that you guys had researched that it didn't translate well, or did you have someone who speaks a different language who had brought this to you and was not understanding things? I was just curious if you've had that conversation with people.
The Office of Emergency Management has also been told that the wording of like Ready, Set, Go can be just kind of confusing when translated into Spanish.
Okay. I didn't know if it was other languages as well, just Spanish.
I've only heard of Spanish. I don't know about other languages.
Okay.
We mainly
Yeah,
have a
thank
big
you.
Latino population here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions right now, you can also reach out to us if you have questions for our speakers, or the speakers if you want to share your contact information in the chat so people can ask you any additional questions.